The living generations have inherited a lot of dysfunction, and we have an obligation to heal ourselves, our families, and our communities. I had to challenge the false belief that whatever I was facing was the devil, that my neurotic coping mechanisms were evil, that I was a bad person. My demons became my shadow became my friend, and now I'm in the process of integration. This is how I challenge false beliefs, by adjusting my vocabulary to be reflective of the truth. Here's the thing. Time and time again, my whole life, I have faced emotions I didn't know how to manage. And as a child, there was a lack of empathy. I started believing very negative things about myself. And internalizing those beliefs led me through very dark seasons. The process of pulling those beliefs out of me at the root requires a consistent, intentional confrontation. To make sense of reality from a different perspective takes time and practice. Illness, especially mental illness, requires care and nurturing. One cannot help oneself from a place of logic. It must come from a place of feeling. It must come from a place of embodiment. It cannot come from a place of dissociation. You really just have to go through it. I recognize that I need to give myself the empathy I require. And I must advocate for my needs, even to myself. I have terrible interoception, and many people deal with that. I believe that I do that out of self-neglect. I think I just stopped listening to my body. So I need to change that. I need to make sure that I show up for myself as I should. But it really is like a game of chess. And false beliefs are not always obvious. I would love to hear if any of this makes sense to you, because sometimes, it makes a ton of sense to me, but sometimes I think I must sound strange to people. And, I think it's great when you meet people who get it. And yeah, I guess that's why I'm here. I'm here to expand my sphere of influence. And I'm really looking forward to who I get to meet while I do that. So if any of this stuff resonates with you, talk to me. Because I'm here for the comment section, honestly. So I have been watching Cien Años de Soledad by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I see a lot of my family in the cinematography, in the way that they decorate their homes, in the things that they eat, in the way that they speak, in the way that they treat each other, in the juxtaposition of different cultures kind of colliding. It's been pretty triggering.
De sopetón, de un momento en el diario del Otún, vi la foto de ellos dos, pero eso es mucha llorada, oiga. Ve a mi papá lo bonito que está ahí.
¿Y esta eres tú?
Sí, mira, y Luzmila y José, un amigo, que era mi padrino también.
¿Y ella es la esposa?
Esposa, sí, el día del matrimonio. Mírale el sombrero tan lindo.
De ahí no tiene sombrero, abuelita.
Él lo tiene, pero en la mano. Era más pinchadito ese viejito. No se imagina la llegada de mi tío a la casa. Era con 6 o 7 chuspadas de mecato, de pampa, regalos como usted no se imagina.
Para todo el mundo.
Sí, porque como éramos tantos los sobrinos, entonces él llevaba esa cantidad de cosas cada que llegaba a la casa.
I've worked really hard to get to a place where I can actually what's the right word to use? Okay, wait, let me think. Maybe recover certain drives from my subconscious mind. I'm very visual, so I look at neurology kind of like a computer. And false beliefs generally, depending like on how early you learn them, exist in your subconscious mind. And so I've had to retrieve that information by questioning everything. And in the fifth agreement, the premise is like we're all in our own little virtual realities, and so you have to understand that. If you look up Heidi Priebe on YouTube, and she generally speaks more so about attachment theory, I pick up a lot of interesting vocabulary from her. And the first thing that I know really helped me in dealing with my false beliefs was challenging my vocabulary and changing my vocabulary so that I could have better communication skills. As someone who started having suicidal ideations at 7 years old, I still struggle with that. So, especially now that I'm doing PTSD recovery. See, this is the thing about false beliefs. Once you discover them, if you want to have integrity and you don't want to fragment or dissociate, and you want to stay like healthy, you have to tell the truth. Long story short, by the time I was 26, I had been receiving the message, like very negative messaging about myself for a really long time. And I started believing that like I was a troublemaker, I was noisy, I was annoying, I was dramatic, I was rebellious, disobedient. And then that kind of made me feel like I didn't deserve to be happy. Also, I saw myself as somebody who was there to take care of things and have like answers to adult problems for the family. And I had to start questioning everything. And if you find yourself in a place of like, dang, I'm really unhappy, I don't really like what I'm doing, I'm not really sure if this is the right career, the right relationship, the right anything for me, I've made all of these decisions and I've been successful, but like I don't feel good, I don't feel free. If you're on a path that you're gonna be on for like the next 15-20 years and you're like, oh fuck this shit, I hate doing this shit on a day-to-day basis, like there's so much reconsidering that needs to happen. And the courage to be able to reconsider really at the root, I think, is in finding our false beliefs, assessing them, and figuring out how to transform ourselves so that we're not operating from an unconscious place of not being able to challenge any belief that we have. The way that there's a psychology of a panda and psychology of a tiger and a cat and a dog, there's also obviously the psychology of a human. And I think that that's another really important point real quick. Like if you're going to challenge, like the first belief that we have to challenge, I think, just as a human species, is that we know in a healthy world, yes, you would know, but maybe we have to start to factor in the fact that this is not a healthy society. Like I don't care how normal certain shit is, it's not healthy. In my family, there's a history of depression, right? And I find it so interesting that the health establishment tells us, well, is there a history of this or that in your family? Like there's a history of diabetes, there's a history of blood pressure problems, there's a history of cardiac problems or arthritis or things like that, right? Okay, it's a history, but also there's a culture, there's a custom, right? So if we know that diabetes is preventable, that high blood pressure is preventable, cardiac problems are preventable, and mental health problems are also preventable. So this idea that we know, we should question that. Like intention, we think we know people's intentions, but we're really not in their minds, right? Until they tell us how they view reality, we're just assuming, and that's not good either, right? And some of us, we've just kind of been going with the flow. I was telling my mom, I don't think that we actually inherit depression. I think that our behavior in the family and our toxic family dynamics contribute to us feeling really fucking sad. And I think that depression is actually our body saying, don't adapt here. Like, you have to figure something else out, because this is not working, and you need to tweak something ASAP, right? It's unconscious. I think that that's like why I'm making this video. And this video has been so hard to do. Like, so hard, because I started in one place and I ended up in a different one. It's important to reevaluate our beliefs in 2025. Time waits for no one. We all have a concept of time, but how many of us have actions that are in alignment with the timeline we want to create for ourselves? This is really a public service announcement. You can learn from my mistakes, and hopefully you can do a timeline jump. For example, if I would have just challenged the false belief that I could not leave my house single, which I ended up doing anyway at 26 in 06. If in my depression and in my misery at 17, and if I really want to dig, I know that the root of that misery is from 93. So if in 93 I would have started challenging my false beliefs, I would not have spent the next 13 years of my life unconsciously being driven by belief systems that just could not be applied to my situation. None of us have 9 years to waste staying in a loop of a reality that we don't belong in. And I think the sooner, as humans, especially now, because I think that the younger generations are growing up a lot more informed. We're in the information age. So you shouldn't waste 9 years of your life somewhere you don't belong. It's a matter of existence. Those 9 years cost me a lot of my existence and my experience. There are things that I will never experience, because in those 9 years I was stuck on that loop instead of going in the direction of my dreams. Now, if you watch this and you take the time to reconsider, you might be saving yourself some time. You can timeline jump. That's what I mean by timeline jump.
Attention everyone, there are over 150 accessible subway stations. Please check mta.info/elevators for real-time elevator status at your station. Transfer availability 3, 4, D, M, and Q trains. Connection available to the Canada Railway. This is an accessible station.